What is up, guys? I'm Mikey at 31 here, Madden 19. Alrighty, so you guys who worship at the altar of the single high cover three, you Nick Saban, Pete Carroll acolytes, wanted cover three to get the attention from yours truly as cover four has gotten. So finally, you will get it. Um, Here's the thing with cover three, guys, in this game. Cover three, in my opinion, in order to get it to function the closest to the way it should function, in my opinion, it requires the most user and user control and pre-snap adjustments because of the fact that there are things that are just never going to work out of it that should. And if you don't make those adjustments, you're going to get blown apart, especially against people who know what they're doing. We'll get into that as the video goes on. But, anyhow, we're going to go over both your standard spot drop cover three and match coverage. We'll discuss the differences between the two, the strengths and weaknesses, how to use it against the meta that you will see, what the game gets right, what the game gets wrong, and all of that good stuff. Now, the good news is that it has gotten a bit better. You can't just mindlessly spam smart routed outs, corner strike, bench, and just get completions at will against it anymore. But it still has some issues, and like I said, we'll get into that. But anyway, cover three. This is just cover three sky, and what you're going to have is just to kind of go over the basics. Cover three sky. You're going to have. We'll just go against a normal I formation here, and just anything. Cover three sky. You're going to have 8 in the box. Sky means that your safety is going to be your force defender. In this case, it is Harrison Smith here. I'm using the Vikings because Harrison Smith, he can kind of do pretty much everything that you need a safety to do in a cover three scheme. In my mind, he's the best safety in the league. He's the best box safety in the league by a wide margin. And he has no real obvious glaring holes in his game in space either. He's the perfect hybrid safety. The only thing he probably can't do is handle a slot receiver man-to-man. But other than that, he can be a hammer in force against the run. He can cover the intermediate zones that a strong safety has to cover over the middle. He can play your deep third. He can play deep quarter. He can run with tight ends. He can run with backs. He's just, a great player and one of the top defensive players in the entire league. But anyhow, what you have here is your standard 8 in the box. I'm in the Jags playbook, so the Jags playbook has a lot of cover 3 press looks here. You'll either get sometimes a true cover 1 style chuck. Sometimes you'll get a press bail. And you have your 8 in the box here. You have your safety there as your force defender. The linebacker on the opposite side is your cutback. And in your standard spot drop cover 3, you have your deep third defenders here, your corners here, playing with outside leverage. Their first priority is to not allow free release down the sideline for the fade route and deep outward breaking routes. They want to funnel with their technique and positioning the receivers to release to the inside. That's where all the help is, with the linebackers here in the hook to curl areas underneath. And your single high safety here, who's responsible for all of this over the middle. He's got to be able to play from numbers to numbers at a bare minimum. He's got to be a rangy, fast, fluid athlete with great instincts. Otherwise, you'll be killed down the seams all game. You'll be killed with post routes all game. And you just generally be in a whole world of hurt. And the really, really great runs can get the routes all the way up here to help out their corners if they're getting beat on the 9 route. Your underneath defenders here, your curl to flat, are just that. They gain width and depth. and work from the curl area to the flat. There's no such thing as a curl to out the flat zone. Curl flat defenders do not play all the way out here, people. Get that out of your head. That's why you have a corner. They play curl to flat. To hook the curl defenders, they're going to drop to a depth of around 8 to 10 yards, gaining depth and width. Obstruct and shrink the windows to the seams. Get back over there. Come on. They'll expand to shrink the window on intermediate and short tight end and slot receiver out routes, and close on anything underneath. If this scheme is being played properly, it's going to be very difficult to throw over the middle without bringing up some, really long developing deep safety conflicting route combinations like dig, square in, double post, multiple verticals. On the outside, it's going to be a matter of winning one-on-one matchups. You can hit the curl, you can hit the comeback, because again, the corners are bailing out there, selling out to cover deep. So underneath them, you can hit. Really, what you want to do, you want to force the offense to take completions in this area here, and then crack them with your backers and your robber safety. You want them to over and over take that and the short area in the curl flats. What you want to do is you want to force the offense to play like the Pats played against the Falcons in the Super Bowl. A million checkdowns to the backs out of the backfield on angle routes or flat routes or little option routes out of the backfield. Make the tackle, make them do it again. But unfortunately for them, they gave up too many leaky yards underneath, and James White had a Super Bowl record 14 receptions, and out of those 14 receptions, he had 110 yards. But that's what you want the offense to do. You're banking on the fact that an offense is not going to live and survive by dumbing the ball down to their backs and taking underneath routes all game. Because what's going to happen? You're going to get eventually, even if they do complete it, you're going to have You're going to have 2nd and 7. If they complete another one, you're going to have 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4. Again, as a passing down. Then you can squeeze tighter, play man one, drop a spy in the hole on the defensive line, all kinds of stuff. You're not going to lose giving up a steady balance of check down routes. So that's the idea, and let's take a look and see how some routes are played. Well, first let's get to one of the main annoyances of this in the game. I'm going to call HB toss. I'm going to go 4-3 over. Difference between 4-3 over and 4-3 under. In 4-3 under, your 3 technique and your box safety are going to be aligned to the weak side of the formation, as you see here. Here's my 3 technique, here's my box safety, and here's my overhang defender, Anthony Barr. He's going to be on the strong side. That's an under. In over is the opposite. Your 3 technique and your box safety is going to be to the run strength of the formation. Here are the run fits. You see here that the safety there, he has force if the run comes to him, cut back if it goes away, and Anthony Barr, he's got force on the strong side run, cut back away. Now the idea here is that this defender is going to be playing with outside leverage, forcing the back to cut back to his pursuit. His number one job is to not get hooked, not get reached, and not get turned out of there. Because what happens if that happens, or if that occurs, all you got left here is a corner between the back and a big gain. However, and you've guys seen this a million times, First toss, you can get to that edge virtually at will. I got blown up there just because of the pursuit of the backer. But you see here, Anthony Barr is not doing a good job of holding his ground there at all. There's a massive alley if I can hit that edge, and we're off to the races. Madden has serious issues with leverage, both in coverage and in run pursuit. No leverage being played at all, no technique. He just goes in right to the tight end square. And it's just an easy convoy here. I mean, the backer has to scrape and pursue, obviously. But I'm able to get to that edge, easy squeezy. Let's try spreading the backers there. See how he strafed? Not strafed, but backpedaled after taking his initial step. Starts to pursue. Then goes backwards. He's at least in better position here, but if he just pursued straight, I probably don't get out of the backfield, so that doesn't really work either. Move him out a few steps. Much better. That time he didn't shift the back after he just moved him out a couple of steps. He meets the guard force on force. He's on the outside shoulder. Tackle for a loss. That's what you need out of that player, but he's aligned so close here on default. He's pinched so far in, he can't play with that kind of leverage. Four-three over. Free technique. And your box safety are on a strong side of the formation. Again, under is the opposite. They're on the weak. We can still get out there pretty easily on default alignment. Harrison Smith has actually did a really good job of just dish ragging the blocker, but he's too far inside to do anything else about it. Harrison Smith just bulldozed as a guard. Okay, buddy. You go on with your bad self. The timing gets taken out. But you know, you guys can see what the issue is here. It's too easy to get out there, and then I get tackled there. But you've seen it a million times. Stretch, toss, get to the outside, spin back inside. It's just too easy to get wide. Now, again, same thing when we were playing over front. What you would want to do here is move them out a couple of steps. It's a much different story. Now, if you're playing someone smart who's running stretch, you'll just cut it inside. But again, I'd rather take that. That's what you want them to do. You want them to cut them inside. That's where your pursuit's is going to be coming from with your backers. You see, he holds the outside much better consistently if you do that. So that pretty much covers, against the run. It's pretty straightforward there. Let's talk about the pass here. We're going to start out basic and then go to some meta stuff. We're going to go in nickel, cover 3 sky press. Again, I'm in the Jags playbook, so they're going to have those press looks. Not every 4-3 or 3-4 playbook is going to have an abundance of those. Let's go with HB angle just for the hell of it. I just want to, show what the drop should look like. So, again, single high look. Deep third, playing press bail. Deep middle. Deep third, playing curl to flat. Curl to flat now. Over a slot receiver, he also has to get a redirection. Again, you don't want to allow a free release down the seam. Again, this deep lying safety has to account for numbers to numbers, and a free release down the seam puts him in a world of hurt. You're going to open up a ton of space between, the 30-yard line and him if you just allow him to run free. Tight end, same thing. If the tight end was spread out off the line like so, it'd be the same deal. Don't allow him a free release on the seam. They're not going on the seam in this example. We'll show that later on. But anyhow, this is how it's going to look in motion. Line with outside leverage. Aligned with outside leverage. Now, unfortunately, they don't shade with that leverage, and the receiver's release isn't impacted by that leverage, as you'll see here. Outside release fade. Bails out. Again, the receivers are not conscious of the leverage that's being played. If he continues to play outside, if he lines up outside of his shoulder and he goes around him, he's doing the corner's job for him. He should stem inside and then try to break back out. What is going on? He doesn't go vertical, he sinks curl to flat. Press release there. Curl to flat. And again, you're going to concede this route. There's no zone defender is going to cover a route under 5 yards in depth. It just doesn't happen. Unless, of course, it's an obvious, goal line stick situation or something like that. What you do with this route here is that you rally and close on the throw. Hook the curl. Hook the curl. And again, close on the angle route. Against Y sail, you got a good cover 3 beater here. You have a 3-level stretch here to the outside. You have a vertical by the outside, table route by the back, and a corner. Flooding, basically, you're going to have a 3-on-2 on that side. And you have a square in hitch on the back side. Curl to flat and the corner on that side. Press and staying on the outside hip. Hook to curl. Expanding width and depth. Quick hitch there. Square in. Over the middle here. Play action read. Got a Mills concept here. We'll cancel the play action here. And then another good single high stressor. You have that intermediate crosser, square in, and post combo. And that you can hit against these drifting free safeties all day long. And that's one of the major headaches of playing this as a base defense in this game. That's going to be tough against users, but the safety is responsible for seam post in that order. Look for seam between those numbers. If no seam, look for post, and do not be tempted, or try not to be tempted by that deep squaring. That's one of the most common ways to beat a single high defense. But as you can see, it takes time to develop. If an offense is going to get the ball down the field, that's how you want to force them to do it. It takes a year and a day to develop. Trey Waynes is doing a good job there of breaking on it, but you can see that safety is just not aggressive enough on that post route. I mean, everyone else does a pretty good job. Waynes tops it very nicely, stays on his hip. That's going to be a tough throw to make there. This guy has to clear 2 hooks. But this guy's been a problem for a couple of years now. Just does not, he just gives up too much cushion. That'll happen if it's Harrison Smith too, watch. We'll flip the defense. Just to get Harrison Smith in the middle of the field. Whoops, no. Get back there, offense. See, Harrison Smith is drifting like a madman too. I mean, you either got to user that player if you're brave. You know how I said in my quarter coverage series, don't be afraid to use the weak safety. Using that safety is a little more dangerous. You just have so much more responsibility. That's an awful lot of ground to be responsible for. And as a user, it's easy to get tempted by that square in. If you give up that square in, that post's going to get bombed right over your head. You see, that's pretty consistent. I'm just low pointing that ball. Sky press against 4 verts. Again, this is not match coverage. This is spot drop coverage. So what these curl flat defenders are going to do against 4 verts in a spot drop coverage is try to reroute to the inside. Oh, come on. Why is that happening? And the hook curls are going to drop to 8 to 10 yards in depth and just try to shrink that window. to make it easier for the secondary to break on the ball. The corner actually does a good job of playing in between here and breaking. Kyle just gets a catch in traffic. And again, same thing here. The issue is, again, that center fielder, if you can get it over the head of those linebackers, is not going to consistently break until way too late, as you can see here. And that's what you need. You need a freaking pass rush to get through as well. And you can play your hard flat, cloud flats as well. If you go underneath, you go hard flat. Just beware that you will just turn them loose down the seam. That cancels their redirect. Same thing if you cloud flat. If you go underneath and then over the top, you get cloud flats. Same deal. And it's a snap throw there, right off the jump. That's cover 3 sky. Cover 3 buzz. Let's just go under seam, just anything. Cover 3 buzz is a too high look, and the safety to the strong side of the formation, in this case the receiving strength being a two receiver side, the detached 2 receiver side, is a run fit and underneath defender. And the safety spins from weak to strong, like so. Because I don't want Trey Waynes pressing up on Laquan Treadwell, because on that route, that'll happen. Let's see if Xavier Rhodes plays that any better. Let's flip the play around for the offense. Let's flip it for the defense too. Yeah, the outside release fade is still a problem. Be careful of formations that has that. That outside release fade is an issue. Yeah, that outside release fade is still a problem. Let me make sure I copy Clint on this when I post it on Twitter. So yeah, again, another reason why this is a tough scheme to base out of in this game. Got to be on the alert for stuff like that. It's just a case of knowing what formations have it and which ones don't. It's a stock outside release fade route. You see, play action pat seam has it. Under seam has it. HB angle has it. There's a couple of trips formations, trips wide outside formations that have it as well. Now, what you've been waiting for. How will it handle meta? And out of this playbook, the Pats playbook, you're going to have what? You're going to have split close, HB wheel, This is Sky. Actually handles it pretty well. Let's throw a slant route there. See, this is why I like to play out of a 2-high as opposed to a single high. For whatever reason, the 2-high rotates to that better. I have no idea why. I cannot explain it at all. But it's doing a pretty good job. I mean, that hole between the that corner on the strong side could play with much better technique. However, he just goes out of phase too soon, and as a result, you can do that and fit that in between those two guys. Tight throw, but it's doable. But Harrison Smith is on that post from that 2-deep alignment. Let's see what happens if he has time to go all the way across the field. Well, we're doing a pretty good job. Throw a drag in there too, I guess. The practice mode pass rush should be the in-game pass rush, by the way. But I digress. The curl flat is matching the wheel, which is strange. Again, this is not a match cover 3, this is spot drop cover 3. It opens up a wide swath of space underneath. And also closes a window for that to be open. Because again, I mean, they have to wall the crosser off. There's no need for him to follow him, though. All this guy has to do is just continue to drop and pick him up, and he can just stay in to, you know, shrink this window. This is one of those instances where your coverage is half spot dropping, half matching. And again, I say this all the time, and this is what I try to, or one of the things I try to stress and, you know, teach people when it comes to coverages and how football works. Coverages and defenses have a rule set. They have those rule sets for a reason. If you have half your defense doing one thing and half your defense doing another, these are the kind of things that are going to happen. I have half my defense matching, half of them spot dropping, and it's causing open windows all over the place. Stuff like this is a byproduct of guys being like, well, why isn't he covering him? He should be going with the... There's a reason why he's not. It's because this guy has to trust that this guy's going to be there. If he just says, okay, I'm going to do my job and his, look what happens now. As I'm off of him, let me do that rep again, but this time just go back on my defensive line. There you go. Diagonal cross. Shoot him out there. Get sacked. Not bad. Okay, he's over underneath, but you'd rather give that up and have a guy like Harrison Smith closing on it and have a crosser running free. We're doing a pretty good job, the underneath hooks, of roboting the crosser, as Saban would call it. Basically, robbing the crosser across the field, or matching him across the field like so. It's not a bad job. It's going to take a long time for that other guy on that overwrap to get over there, or get free. So they let him cross his face, but it took a long time to develop. That's when your pass rush has to get there. This system does not work without a couple of things. One, without the deep center fielder, and two, without a four-man pass rush. Because the only way the offense is going to get the ball down the middle of the field, if you're playing it right and have the right personnel, again, this is in the real life, is if they run long, developing, multiple clear-out rock combos like this. And that's where your speed rushers pin their ears back and go after them. Pat Sale. Not bad. Jammed it pretty nicely. I mean, am I missing a hot route here? I mean, you competitive guys tell me. I'm pretty sure that's how that play works. I've seen it quite a few times. As we all have. Now let's do something that makes no sense whatsoever. Let's kind of shoot that guy there and do that. And motion him here. Let's drag him, I guess. You know, underneath. If you do enough underneath flood routes, if you do enough, you know, hot routing and motioning and rejiggering, you're gonna get something open underneath. It's just the way this game is. You know, they all kind of clear out. Playmaker. Okay, that was a buzz match. So, you know, not bad. That wasn't buzz match, that was straight cover 3 buzz press. Alright, let's do match coverage. And again, this should be mostly review from the cover 4 stuff. The match rules are, you know, similar but different in some instances. Like if we go fade wheel, for example, I have a 2x2 set. You know, seam flats are going to carry their verticals. That remains the same. So on this play, anything above 5 yards is considered vertical. So Rudolph should be matched by one seam flat. Thielen should be matched by the other. Now, that leaves a vulnerability to the flat. A couple of ways to deal with that. The way Clemson deals with this is they have this apex defender here play in between against a concept like this. Like he'll play almost like a quarter flat, and then this hook defender would wall him off, and then he'd cut to the flat. This is the way Saban plays it, and it's you know, an area where it's vulnerable. Even the way that Venables will play it isn't perfect. perfect because, again, a quick hitter, you can still get it there. I mean, you're not going to account for everything. You just want to, play tendencies and, concede what you want to concede as opposed to having the offense dictate to you. You're not going to have an answer to every call. The only way to answer everything is with tight man coverage. And the only way that that's going to work is if you have guys that can cover in man coverage. If you don't, then that's not going to work either. But you can see here, not in love with the footwork here, or when it comes to the transition, he kind of loses ground. I mean, it is a route running advantage, but still. Lets him go under. So now he has to account for the wheel route here. Again, this off coverage technique just needs work. He can top that route out of the backfield when it heads out of the backfield much sooner than he does. Because instead it'll just be a quick hitter. Now if you're using a backer, then on the back side, then obviously you can read this yourself. Like let's, boom. But you're gonna, concede the dig behind you. Again. Tendencies and adjustments from there. HB angle. Vertical routes are matched. He plays a flat, match vertical. And if you notice, this is off coverage cover 3. This is not cover 3 press match, thank God. Deep comeback, you're vulnerable. Again, anything underneath the bailing corner is going to be vulnerable in this situation one-on-one. Match vertical. Once the back crosses, this backer picks him up, runs with him. Play action read. Match coverage. And that pesky dig is closed off. Matched. Again, this is over 5 yards, so this is now considered vertical. Anything over 5 yards, they're going to play man-to-man. It's not a quarter flat. A quarter flat's going to let the route go. Seam flat, it will always play man-to-man on anything outside of 5 yards. And they all actually do a good job of topping the routes in that rep. Shot wheel. Shot wheel, I do not like. It's a bit of a mess. There's still a gap there, which shouldn't be. Deep third. Match that sucker. He's got to top this post route much, much better. He doesn't top it at all. As a result, it is open. So that's a problem. That should not happen. Match on crossers. Again, not in love with it. There's the window there to hit number 2. A little too easily. Should be matching that vertically, but he's not. I mean, I get what they're trying to do here, but number 2 vertical gets turned loose too easily. What they're trying to do here is that, okay, weak hook, this guy here, is going to wall Treadwell here to number 3. The safety here is going to be overlapping as well, and he's going to be kind of playing in between 3 and 2. The seam flat here against verticals here in trips is going to carry and then work back to cut any potential flat route, but it's just not done very well. I mean, you can easily get it in there, as you can see, as he gets turned loose, especially on the field side. If we move it over, you can get that in there. I mean, the corner is going to play in between 1 and 2, which he should. But you see there's a nice gap there to get that ball in there. If they're going to do that, he just doesn't he doesn't get a catch animation. But if they're going to do that, that hook curl's got to expand better. That's the way they're going to play it. Otherwise, you can hit that. Match against split close Pats, HB wheel. Not in love with it. The wheel and table route will get matched. There's just still too big of a window for that corner there. That's not terrible. Not terrible at all. Looks pretty darn good, actually. This should not happen in 5 lifetimes, ever. That's horrible. Again, just bad technique out there. Bad leverage, bad everything. Just skating out there, letting that get free. So yeah, I don't love cover 3 this year. I think it requires you to be a really good user underneath.
Let's go.
And mixing in a lot of hard flat, cloud flat adjustments, and knowing what you can play cover 3 match against, and what you can't. Hopefully this kind of helped in that regard. But I think cover 3 is very difficult to base out of. Don't love it. Would not recommend playing a heavy dose of it in spots you can trap people with it. But again, if you're going to play a lot of it, you've got to be really good underneath, really good, because that post route's going to be a problem for the single high safety, as we all know. And there are situations against trip sets where that apex seam flat defender is going to you know, let number 2 vertical down the seam a little bit too easy. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will talk to you all later. Peace.